Hello, hello. It's time. It's time for another chapter. Today, we're going to be looking at chapter 5 together. And just for the fun of it, but I'm sure you know why you're here, we're reading You Owe You by Dr. Eric Thomas. And this chapter is called Walk in Your Purpose. This side, hold on. Walk in Your Purpose. And honestly, I've read the chapter at this point, but I am curious what the definition of purpose is. What do you think that actually means? And I think that, before I actually look up the definition, most of us are trying to find our purpose. Most of us are trying to figure out where we fit in. But why? Why are we searching for a purpose? So hold on. Let me see. What is purpose?
Here's the definition of purpose. The reason for which something is done or created or for which something exists.
The reason for which something is done or created or for which something exists. To have purpose. It's the reason that I'm here. All right, now I get it. I wanted to make sure that I was on the right frame of mind. And with all the motivational words they have in the world, I think I would have been thrown off a little bit. But of course, what was I thinking? Of course, that's a definition of purpose. So Dr. Thomas says it's important that we walk in our purpose, that we walk in the reason that we're here. I will say that one of the cool things I think about the chapter is he continues to go through his life story. And I don't know how you guys are feeling about the life story part. You'll have to let me know in the comments what your thoughts are as he's trying to explain these very important life points, guidances, tools. If you're following along in his story or if you're getting lost in his story a little, I think that it is very, very, very important to, again, remember what your story was or is. And I talked about this in the beginning because he did spend time going into the story. And I think that's where the clues are. I think I stuttered over my words, so I'm going to say it again. I think that is where the clues are on how to be successful at this crazy thing that we call life. I'm hopeful that we want the best for ourselves. And I think somewhere along the journey, maybe we get lost, maybe we can get confused, maybe we don't know what our purpose is. But he says that moving through the awareness of your gifts is walking in your purpose. So in order for us to walk in our purpose, we have to know what we're good at, what our gifts are, what our superpower is. And once we can grasp hold of that, then we can walk in our purpose. I love the part where he states, like right in the beginning of the chapter, he says, once you figure out your why, you can start looking outside of yourself to see what other people need from you. And that strikes home so much because I feel that that's why you can see people who are selfishly moving through life. It's because they really haven't figured out their purpose. And once you figure out your purpose, then you are better able to help others around you. He says in this journey to find your purpose that you want to start by getting intentional. Most people, I think, kind of just go through life, letting life happen. Like, oh, just another day, just life going, doing life things. But he says in order to, find your purpose that you have to be intentional or start an intentional journey. He said that as he recognized his gifts, that his confidence started to rise. And I'm like, of course it started to rise. I'm going to put my highlighter down. I don't know why I'm wielding it around, but of course it started to rise. Once you start to figure out what you're good at, you start to get reaffirmed in that. And I think that was one of my questions also a couple of chapters ago. Do you find your superpower? Are you reaffirmed in your superpower? Are you born with the superpower? Somewhere along the line, it's probably a combination of all those things, but we definitely get reaffirmed with our gifts, reaffirmed with our purpose. And once you start to dive into that and accept that as who you are and what you're good at, your confidence is going to build. As your confidence builds, he said he started to talk to himself differently. He started to treat himself differently. And I'm like, yes, this is it right here, because we're in a current generational something. I don't even know what word to use. We're in a generational something in which depression is the norm and anxiety is the norm. And he said, hey, you don't have to be depressed. You don't have to be anxious. Once you start to grasp hold of, your reason for being, then things start to change. You start to hang out with the people you're supposed to be hanging out with. You get a chance to form relationships and build bonds and start just, again, moving in the direction of whatever your goals are, whatever your passion is, whatever your purpose is. He says that even though you have a purpose, that you also have to impose structure. And I kind of laughed a little bit because I don't know how you feel personally. Here I am with this marker again. I'm just going to put it way over here. I don't know how you feel personally. But structure is something that I kind of struggle with. I like the option of being able to change my mind. And I don't really like to be held down to something. So I will flutter free from structure if I can. But also, structure is where I've seen the most growth and where I've seen the most success. And I'm very aware of that. I know that if you have a plan outlined in place, I know if you have structure outlined in place, I know if you have, your purpose outlined and also the process outlined, and you're able to attack the process every single day, you're going to see success. I know that. So it was interesting to hear him also say, hey, P.S., by the way, you need the structure. If you were shooting for something, if you're shooting for a goal, dream, something in there, you got to write it down. You got to write down the game plan to get there. Your brain needs a roadmap. We can't just flutter about in life hoping that we end up somewhere near where we want to end up. We have to have the structure. He also says we have to have the standards on our life. He continued to weave in and out again of his personal story, and something that also stood out to me, he said, was struggling. And how many people go through life who are struggling? We're all struggling in some form of fashion, right? But we have the people who struggle in life and make it. And then we have the people who struggle in life and struggle. And they're like on the super struggle bus. I'm like, get off the struggle bus. You don't need to be there. You don't need to be on the struggle bus. Get off the struggle bus. But he says that it's okay to have the struggle. And I agree with that. It's okay to have the struggle. Struggle is part of finding yourself. But according to the author, he says, but you don't have to struggle alone. And so those are key words for me, especially, looking back at the flight assessment, if you took the flight assessment, or the DISC assessment, if you've taken the DISC assessment, think about your personality, think about your traits, think about whether or not and how this speaks to you. If you're an I personality or a D personality, or maybe if you're the pilot or the flight attendant, you don't have to necessarily think about struggling alone. You automatically move toward people. But if you are a little bit more reserved, more of the S personality, more of the C personality, more of the grounds crew, more of the person in the tower. I don't remember what it is right now. Air traffic control. Thank you. I'm sure somebody said it while I was struggling with the word. You are more likely to have that feeling of alone because you kind of seclude yourself. It takes you a little bit longer to form those relationships. And if you kind of get stuck in a hole, or maybe you are secluded, I would say that most people start to feel secluded in the winter time. I don't know what it is. I do know what it is. It's dark, it's cold. You can't really do as many things in the winter. You're kind of secluded away. But he says you don't have to have that feeling of being alone. You just need to reach out. Reach out to the right people, reach out to the right group, find your purpose, move through your purpose. And that's where you're going to find more success. Something he says that was really cool too is he thought it was amazing as he found his purpose, he was just excited to be a part of something that was bigger than himself. And I think that I feel that way on a regular basis. If you were an instructor, I'm going to assume that you feel that way too. Something about giving back, an instructor, a teacher, a coach, a guide, something about imparting the knowledge that you have onto somebody else so that they can be successful, so they can go on and make the money they want to make and provide for their family the way they want to provide for their family and live in their purpose and their passion is a different kind of superpower. It's quite amazing. So understanding that, we do have this small part to play in the world, and that our needs, our wants, our desires, our passions are important, but also being able to contribute to this big thing that we call the universe, the world, is something that, again, is truly amazing. And for him, it says it gave him additional focus and energy. He said once he realized that he was not only in it for himself, that he was in it for someone else, something bigger than him, lifted him some. It made him more excited to go after the things that he was trying to go after. Something that absolutely hits home for every person. If I've said nothing so far that has struck 0 chords with you, this one should strike a chord. And I actually have probably had this conversation with lots of people because I'm curious on how people feel about this. But why is it we have to go through bad things in order to make changes in our life? That's a personal question that's not anywhere in the book, but I feel like it's true. I feel like we have to go through the experience, and that's how we learn. I'm not sure. Yeah. Case in point, when I was younger, my mom said that I shouldn't touch the oven because the oven was hot. And so most people, I guess there's 2 types of people, right? There's 2 types of people. There's the person who's like my sister. Hey, don't touch the oven is hot. And she's like, cool, got you. The oven is hot. And then there's my brother and myself who were like, I'm not so sure you know what you're talking about, lady. Are you sure the oven is hot? I don't know. I'm going to go over here and find out for myself and end up getting burned. As if somebody didn't try to help me through the situation, to give me the guidance, to tell me what direction to go. Had to find out for myself, had to find out the hard way. And I tell myself that story all the time because I have to remind myself there are people who have lived through experiences, who've had a lot of life experiences, and I want to not necessarily have that stop me from doing what I'm going to do. Obviously, I'm the one who's going to touch the oven, even though I was told not to. But also, in the event that it's something that's detrimental to me, maybe I should pay attention. Maybe I should just back up. For the author, he says that his purpose was made clear in crisis. His purpose was made clear when something not so great happened. He mentioned earlier, you got to go through that struggle. There are some struggles I do believe that we have to go through. Some struggles pop up and you have to be ready to be successful, to push through them. For him, his wife got a diagnosis of MS, multiple sclerosis, and it's so cool because for him, I'm going to grab the book real quick to make sure I get what he said absolutely right. For him, it just redefined what was important to him. It redefined what he was good at. It redefined his why. It helped him redefine his superpowers. I guess I'm hoping that's not the case. I'm hoping that we always don't have to go through something bad to get to that level of clarity when it comes to our success, our purpose. But I mean, I understand that it's true. I understand that that's one way it works. He says, what was beautiful about this moment was the reaffirmation of my why. I knew it was my opportunity to show up for Dee Dee. Dee Dee was his wife. Is his wife, sorry. The strongest person I've ever known. It was my chance to be with her in sickness, to give her everything I had in my own health. For years, I had been walking in my purpose, giving 100. But when Dee Dee got sick, I got fully in my gifts and fully in my purpose. I had to give more. I think that we usually do end up finding more when we're faced with our backs against the wall. And I think that's the amazing thing about the human kind, is that we are ever evolving. And so one thing that he said is we always have more because we are ever evolving, because we evolve, because we can grow, because we can change, because we can adapt. And even though the hardest moments make you stronger, they do. He also says that success is not a destination, it's absolutely a journey. So going through these things, we're feeling some type of way about them. And then we make a decision that, okay, this is what I'm going to have in my life, and I'm going to have it because this is where I'm destined to be. This is how I'm destined to help. And I thought I was doing a good job before, but now that I'm being put to the test, those are probably the right words. Now that I'm being put to the test, let me show you how much more I have. Let me show you how much more I can give. Let me show you how much better I can be. Now, let me just show you. I want to end with one thing again. And really, the whole chapter was good. I'm pretty sure I said that a million times. The one thing that hit me, well, this one thing hit me too. And the last thing that hit me is the person who lives with passion is dangerous. The person who lives with passion is fearless. They will stop at nothing. They will plow through. They will overcome. They will walk the miles. They will do the research. They're just going to figure it out. I know that you have probably been through a situation in your life which you were like, whoa, what is this? What situation are you handing me right now? And I know that you ultimately made the decision to push through. And that's what we have to keep continuing to tell ourselves to do is, we have more to give. I can adapt. I can overcome. I can walk in my purpose. I can walk in my passion. I can be great. The person who lives with passion is dangerous. I want to be that dangerous person. Do you? That is it for this chapter. We're gonna move on to chapter 6. I don't know why I'm showing you chapter 6 as if you don't know what numbers are or can't read chapter 6. What I meant to do is show you the upcoming title, Put Yourself in Miracle Territory. And if you want to hang out with me and see what the author has to say about this, well, check out the next video and I'll see you there. Okay.